Hi everybody, I'm Meg from LovenStamps and I have another LovenStamps Studio 2 for you. This one is again about organizing your crafting spot from A to Z. And if you missed this last week, I'm going to start doing daily installments of the Studio Tour with different tips for organizing things. And it'll be 9:30 in the morning, about 9:30 in the morning Central Time every day, Monday through Friday. So make sure you click to be notified when I go live so you don't miss them. And if you do miss, don't worry, you can go back later and see the video on my Facebook page. Okay, so like I said last week, whether your space is big or small, whether you have a completely dedicated space where it's just stamping or just crafting, or if your space is shared and you're always just pulling things out when you're ready to use them and then putting them away when you're done, it really helps to have things be pretty well organized so that you can enjoy your crafting time by crafting and not always having to find things or put things away and so forth. So today's tip is about designer series paper because we know it's kind of an awkward size. 12 by 12 paper doesn't fit in lots of things, so you want to make sure you have a good storage solution. So I'm going to tell you what I do. If you have a solution that works really well for you, make sure you leave it in the comments because it might really be helpful for someone else. So my 12 by 12 storage solution is a little bit well, I was gonna say out of the box. It's not out of the box, it's in the box. And this is one of my DSP containers. It is an LP or vinyl record container, which turns out to be the perfect size for storing your designer series paper. So this one can hold, I don't know, 20 packages of designer series paper. It holds quite a bit. It's nice and sturdy. And best of all, it protects the corners from being bashed, which you really want to take good care of your designer series paper. So when I store mine, I make sure that I always keep the plastic package that it came in. So this is the Snowflake Splendor paper, which I'm using for the LovenStamps monthly tutorials this month, so make sure you check my blog for information on those. But the nice thing about keeping those, and if you didn't realize this, I will show you, but they always show the paper colors on the back now. So really helpful. So if you want to know what cardstock color coordinates, and of course organize your cardstock like we talked about last week, but you can always find that information on the back of the package. So the other thing I always do is I always try and slip them just at the top so that I can move the paper in and out and just keep it all organized. That way all my scraps fit down there at the bottom and I don't have to worry about losing pieces in my boxes. Okay, but what about 6x6 paper? 6x6 paper gets a different spot, and that is in a 31 tote like this. Honestly, 6x6 paper is pretty easy to store, right? It just has to be a container that's at least 6 inches wide so you don't bash the corners of that. And you can see kind of how this fits in here for me. So I'm kind of a big fan of keeping it organized that way. And again, I was going to show you sometimes if I have more than one paper, like plaid, the plaid tidings paper, which I have like several partial packages of, I keep them in a larger Ziploc bag that also fits in my storage. So speaking of plaid tidings and Snowflake Splendor, don't forget that during October, it's DSP stock up month, which means you can pick from a selection of designer series paper, some of my favorites, at 15% off. So that information is on my website and my blog too. Okay, I have one more designer series paper tip for you, and this one's kind of a card tip. So when you have designer series paper, my favorite cutting size is 3 inches by 4 inches because you can get a whole bunch out of a sheet of paper, right? So if this was your paper, you can see that you can easily get 12 of these by cutting 3-inch and 4-inch sections. So it's a really efficient way to use your paper, and I love the card format that works out. So this one, instead of just being a plain card front, happens to be a gatefold card. Watch for a blog post on this particular card very soon. But the thing that I wanted to share with you is that just because it has a design on it does not mean that you can't stamp on it or you can't use an embossing folder on it. So look really closely at these. There you go. See how this one is the plain paper. It's gorgeous. But this paper here, this is Magic in the Night, and it's of course on sale too. But this one has the Cobwebs embossing folder background, and I think it adds so much texture. So be sure to like that if you agree with me. If you have a folder that you love to use on Designer Series paper, you can post that in the comments too. All right, so I think that's it for Designer Series paper tips. If you enjoyed the tips today, make sure you like or love this video. Leave a comment with a topic that you would like to see in organizational tips later. Thank you, Sue, for your comment for last week. I have yours slated in. And then next up is tomorrow at 9:30 Central Time. And tomorrow I'm gonna be talking about organizing for workflow, because it's kind of like in a kitchen, there's workflow, right? You know where you want your stove and your refrigerator and your countertop to be so that you can make the most of your time. Well, that's super important in crafting. And I have had a lot of different workflow things lately as I've been in transition into the new studio space. So I've tried out lots of different combinations, and I'm gonna tell you what my favorite combination is and what I organized here. So, and again, it applies whether your space is dedicated or not, so. All right, finally, I am working hard to grow my Facebook viewers. So if you like this video and you have a crafting friend who might find it helpful, make sure to share this video with them. Let's see. Oh, and a question from Penny. The great Designer Series paper size, it's 3 inches by 4 inches. So if you cut your paper, and actually, I'll post in the comments, I'll post a link. I actually have a ton of card sample ideas for 3 by 4 inch Designer Series paper that are on my blog. So if you cut your paper, make sure you think about the direction you want it to be. You're gonna cut just like this is 4 inches tall, a 4-inch section from the bottom of your paper, and then you can cut it into 3-inch chunks and you'll have 4 of them for that size. Yeah, Sue likes the size too. So the other part that goes with that is that you will be cutting a mat to go with it. This one actually is brushed metallic card, or silver, yeah, yes, brushed. Anyway, silver metallic cardstock, so it doesn't count, but usually I do a cardstock layer for this, and then that layer is gonna be 4 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches. And that is a perfect size for cardstock layering, because when you cut your cardstock in half, it's already 4 1/4 inches. So lots of great, easy, simple cards for that 3 by 4 DSP size. All right, thanks, good question, Penny. If you have any questions, let me know. And Penny, I'll put the link in the comments for that, that link to the blog comments and blog ideas for 3 by 4 cardstock. So thanks, guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Happy stamping.